How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the...
It's different. What?
What?
No,
What happened?
go back.
What?
No,
What?
it can't be different.
What do you mean?
Give them the classic one.
Oh, well, I did some different last week, and you...
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I said, hello! Welcome to the Post Row Podcast.
Yeah, you did. Shit. Not
All right,
a big deal of nothing.
Ruin the
That's
recording.
okay. You know what?
It was a joke. I was like, we can keep this in.
Yeah,
This
we'll
is
keep this in.
funny.
Definitely keep this in. But,
It's
just...
a great joke that did not waste anybody's time. So.
What? Damn.
And just because of that, I'll what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Post
We're
Row
back at it.
Podcast, episode 9. Here we are. It's episode 9, Post Pro Podcast. We got some movie stuff to talk about. I know Sebastian has something very interesting to bring up here. But I think start off with this. AMC. they're on a
Oh, yeah, I saw.
Recently they came out and said they have quote unquote substantial doubt that they can stay in business, which is number one movie theater company in the world. Not too good.
I'd also like to mention with AMC saying that they might go bankrupt. I have a friend that works at AMC, and as part of their training, in the training videos, they always would brag about how they are the only movie company or like movie theater in like the world that has never gone bankrupt. And now look at them.
Wow.
Dang, that is like maximum karma.
Yep.
Maybe they'll have to change their training videos if they come back.
Hey guys, welcome back to AMC. It's been a hard time.
But we need you and your support.
Yes, please. They start begging. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But
Maybe we'll see that Amazon thing.
Yeah, I haven't. Speaking of which, I haven't heard anything about that recently.
No, I think it's under the table if anything's happening.
Definitely, yeah. Another thing I saw interesting today, Ari Aster in a recent interview with Slash Film has teased his next movie as a quote-unquote 4-hour nightmare comedy.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm in.
So
I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
Yeah,
whatever he makes, I'm in.
Oh yeah.
I've watched a bunch of interviews with Ari Aster too, and he has just like a crazily warped sense of humor that I can only imagine is going to work like perfectly for that.
I mean, he called Midsummer a comedy.
Yeah.
So I mean, that can only hint at what is to come next.
I'm incredibly excited.
If he finds Midsummer funny, I don't even want to know what else he finds funny.
Oh yeah. So, have you seen some of his short films?
No, I want to watch them.
They're interesting. They're definitely they are dark. We got some taboo subject.
I didn't know he. I obviously had to do short films, but I didn't know you could watch them.
Yeah, they're all on Vimeo. I've watched them all on Vimeo. They're good.
Yeah, I'll have to get on that.
I think the thing that stuck out to me about this was the 4-hour.
Yeah. I feel like that's not going to happen. But
a
lot
of people say, oh yeah, my next movie, it's going to be like 6 hours long, and then it just doesn't. No, knowing him, I feel like if it's going to be 4 hours, that will be the director's cut, and then the A24 cut's going to be like 2 hours in the theater.
Yeah.
But,
it probably won't be an actual.
Apparently, Midsummer was supposed to be
or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Midsummer was supposed to be really, really long?
Wasn't the Midsummer director's cut? I watched it. I think it was 3.
It was close to 3. It was 250.
Yeah, it was really clse.
Yeah. I mean, the theatrical was almost 2.5. So, I mean, that's already long for, especially a horror movie, Yeah. Or comedy, whatever you want to call it. And so then this was kind of just a funny little thing I saw. That new little streaming platform, if you can call it that, Quibi, with like the 10-minute. Yeah. So apparently, the Quibi executives are taking a 10% pay cut because it launched so weakly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a dumb idea anyway.
Nobody
they
exactly
put so much money into like their star power they're getting too,
and the marketing. Literally, there was a time where like I just saw Quibi ads and I was like, "What is this?"
I know, right? There's like shows of Chance the Rapper. Like Idris Elba had a show on it. Zac Efron had a show on it. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
both Liam Hemsworth and Christoph Waltz were in that one show that I'm sure everyone saw the ad for, The Most Dangerous Game.
By the way,
I saw that ad like 50
I'm
times.
sure I saw the ads. I just
Do any of you know if any of the stuff they produced was any good? Like, has anyone said any? I haven't heard reviews about any of it.
But it's all short stuff. So even if it's good, like,
I'm not gonna pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a YouTube video where this guy like reviewed some Quibi shows, and he said they were like super bizarre. I remember one.
Really?
I can't remember who it was. But he said there was one where it was like this woman with a golden arm.
Yeah, I did see that.
Okay.
But, I mean, that still doesn't interest me. Like, as weird
sure,
as that
sure.
sounds.
Yeah, but that's exactly what he was saying. He was like, "What? Like this content? Who does it cater to? You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's just weird." So I thought it was kind of funny that the executives are losing 10% of their paycheck because it didn't do too well.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Yeah. And then I think last thing, we'll keep it brief today with the news. Christopher Nolan and the producers behind Tenet are optimistic that they're going to keep that July 17th release date.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I did not hear that, so that's interesting.
Well, and their trailer also didn't have a release date. The last one, it was just like coming soon. It didn't even like have a release date.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I'm excited, obviously, but I'm glad that they have high hopes to keeping the initial release date.
I mean, yeah, but it's not really up to them, like, honestly.
Sure, yeah. But
I mean, like, obviously they could be like, yes, we're releasing it now, but I mean, if nobody's going to see it, then, you know, there's not really much of a point.
Well, that kind of brings up big surprise.
Yeah, my big surprise is there's a big theory that has been floating around the internet for a while, but I haven't really caught traction to it until recently because there's more evidence to back it up. But a lot of people believe that Tenet might be a secret sequel to Inception.
I saw that. I haven't looked at any like of the videos talking about it, but
I'll go into the like kind of basic premise to give you guys just a little taste. So in the original like kind of like teasers for Tenet, a lot of the like kind of like you know, the original teaser where it had like all of like the catchphrases on it, it didn't really show much footage. It had catchphrases like "time has come for a new protagonist" and then like "time has come for a new mission," and people believe that gives the implication that there has been some sort of previous protagonist in this story. And a lot of people kind of initially thought that might mean Inception. And to me, it kind of crossed my mind slightly because I watched that original teaser and I was like, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Inception. But, you know, I didn't really think of it because it's
I think, everyone thought that too. Because, I mean, it does deal with, like, themes of time and the manipulation of time and stuff like that. I thought that too, but, like, it never crossed my mind that it could be related to Inception directly, you know?
And then... just about a week ago, there was an interview with Mr. John David Washington, star of Tenet. And they were asking him about theories of like Nolan movies. And they brought up the Inception theory about Tenet. And his exact quote is, "I'd say Tenet is an in-law to Inception." Choosing his words carefully, he said, "They're related by marriage. They get together for Thanksgiving, family barbecues, like that kind of thing. Other than that, one lives in Europe, the other one lives in Compton."
Huh.
So, I mean, what I'm hearing is it's not a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, like, like, there's no. Like, I mean, come on. That has happened once in the history of cinema, and that's Split, which, like, nobody would have guessed.
That's exactly what I thought of, yeah.
Like, no, I mean, like, obviously... I mean, I could be wrong, first of all, but I just
Leonardo DiCaprio just sitting at a bar at the end of Tenet.
Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy? That would be absolutely mind-blowing. That would change everything. That would probably make 2020 so much better. You know, just seeing that.
I mean, just that one thing.
Go, oh my god.
But like, there's a lot to it though. A lot of people have been like comparing the budget. I know this is very minuscule to really like
comparing the budget
of Inception to Tenet. Yeah, because like with Inception, a lot of the money went to the, you know, stars. So, and the thing that's really interesting about Tenet is it's one of the first Nolan movies that really does not have the star power as every other Nolan movie. Like if you look at the cast, it's pretty he has. I'm just going to be honest. John David Washington really hasn't, gotten there yet. He's working his way there. The only big star, in my opinion, is Pattinson. Pattinson is like that they have listed is their top billed star pretty much. He's getting probably the most money out of everyone, and he's not even the main character. But a lot of people are thinking that he might be playing. I think the character's name in Inception was Cobb. That was Leonardo DiCaprio's character's name.
Yeah.
His son, and then the other actress is going to be playing his daughter because they haven't given character names yet. And then also Pattinson dyed his hair for this movie. Why would he?
Why would he ever dye his hair for the movie, man?
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting to think about.
If anything, it's a fun theory just to have fun with.
I'm not putting that much credence in it, but
I'm not either.
To think about.
But like, imagine the possibilities if like this actually comes true. Because again, John David Washington, he didn't really confirm that it was like a sequel, but he kind of said that like
they didn't deny it either.
Yeah, he said they're kind of like one and the same because he says Tenet is an in-law to Inception. So he's saying kind of like they're connected, but that's kind of really all he's saying. He's just confirming that they're kind of connected, which is
if anything, it could be like the Tarantino verse.
That's
they're all like
same world,
connected, but they're not directly tied.
And it seems like Tenet and Inception are going to be like they're both sci-fi blockbusters. They're probably the most similar of any of Nolan's two movies. I mean, obviously we haven't seen Tenet, and if you don't count, the Batman movies, obviously all of those are pretty similar. But I mean, like just in terms of genre and like themes, like Everything Erodes seems like it might be a theme of both.
It's interesting because I don't know, because me personally, when I first saw that trailer, I thought the same thing, but I didn't want to really think about it because I'm like, well, Nolan would never do a sequel. But now that I'm seeing a lot more like little things, especially this John David Washington quote, and then they haven't released like,
and that could all be hype too. That could just be part of the marketing.
It is.
Yeah, but like, and they haven't given character names for anybody yet. And then again, it's Nolan being mysterious. He's mysterious about all his movies. But again, another thing I'd like to say is he did have Matt Damon in Interstellar, and that was a huge shocker because I mean I didn't know Matt Damon was going to be in the movie, and he was there. Like, imagine if somehow, some way, this movie, just Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like everyone, the Inception cast just shows up just in the movie. You know how crazy that would be?
Explain the budget. I mean, no, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it's not impossible.
Okay, budget between the two.
So I know the Tenet budget's like $250 million.
Yeah,
I think Inception was like $160.
Inception was $160.
Tenet is Tenet's Christopher Nolan's most expensive film.
Yeah, we're just saying something.
That makes sense, but $250, like, geez, I mean that's a lot.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with like the budget because if you look at Inception and you look at Tenet's budget, there is a lot more money into Tenet. But the thing is, from what I've seen in the trailers, it doesn't seem like it was that much demanding compared to Inception, because Inception had crazy sets, like the hallway set that they had to rotate, and then
it's still so cool.
But I mean, like I'd imagine special effects for Tenet are going to be insane because
again,
you're going forward in time while time is going backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to definitely knock out that. But I was saying, with the budget so big, he could have Leo on the cast, and he might be a secret cast member because Leo wants a paycheck.
Oh, sure. I mean, like if for example you could go to Force Awakens, like Mark Hamill, I think his cameo was $1 million just for the screen time he had, so it's insane.
You never know.
You never know.
We'll see.
And like we mentioned earlier, like if it does turn out to be like some sort of split ending, Unbreakable tie-in, Leonardo DiCaprio's sitting at a bar watching.
That'd be so funny.
No, and then like the top is spinning on the table.
The top's spinning on the table. Yeah. I mean, everyone would go crazy, and then that would make more people want to see it too.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Again, just thought I'd bring it up. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, that's cool. And I'm sure some people have gone absolutely nuts over that theory.
Incredibly
way over analyzing them. So.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's interesting to think about.
So, what do you guys think? Comment down below on your thoughts on the Tenet.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Postpo Crodcast.
We have a couple viewers. I saw there was someone commenting on I think it was the last video. I don't know who it was. It seemed like someone that none of us know. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I know. A couple of my friends have commented on our videos. I'm sure some of your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going places.
We are.
Truly.
Slowly, but eventually.
We're gonna take over Joe Rogan.
No, probably not.
We're gonna get $100 million deal with Quibi.
Quibi.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't seem that hard.
Damn.
Dang, shots fired. You hear that, Quibi exec?
Quibi, give us money.
There goes one of our viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, there goes one of our followers.
All right, so who wants to talk first about what they watched this week? Any takers?
I feel like normally I go first.
Yeah,
so
you
I don't
go
really
ahead.
Want to go first. Okay. I mean, I was going to say I don't want to, but...
Well, I can go first because I only watched like 4 movies.
Okay, me too.
Yeah. Sebastian, lead it off.
You want to do it in order of least to most? I also only got 4 in.
I also only watched 4, excluding American Honey.
Excluding? Okay, I'll go first then, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Once again, shorter week. I'm probably going to hop more onto the movie watching train soon. But I started the week off with rewatching Baby Driver, which is definitely a good movie. I think it's a lot of style over substance often. But man, is that style just slick and just fucking cool.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any Edgar Wright movie is just cool, you know?
For sure. And then I finally got around to Birdman, which I thought Birdman was excellent. I think the 2 main flaws is there's a couple pieces in Michael Keaton's performance which aren't like amazing, especially compared to some of the other performances in the film, which a surprise for Zach Galifianakis being as good as he was.
He's good, yeah.
Like, it's pretty crazy. And Emma Stone playing a character that I didn't really expect her to play, and then Edward Norton just being a dick and pulling it off perfectly.
Apparently that's like Edward Norton in real life. It was supposed to be a like characterization, an exaggeration of working with him in real life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And then one of the things I noticed the most about this is how a lot of the characters feel almost as it is like a stage play, or is on the stage. Like there's really heavy monologuing. It feels like they're talking to the camera by the way that Alejandro G. Inarritu, right?
Yeah.
Like just positions the camera into the faces, and the way he like moves the camera with it being in that one shot perspective is like fascinating. And speaking of one shot, then I followed it up with Rope, which I haven't actually seen Hitchcock yet. I can definitely see why he's known as the master of suspense, because the way he just, once again, positions his camera to just a lot for like just show the audience what he wants to be shown on the screen at a time is masterful. I'm sure everyone knows that Hitchcock is a master. It's Hitchcock. But I honestly think that he even uses the one-shot perspective the best, even for the film coming out in 1949. He's really able to just show what he needs to show at the time, and it's a really good movie.
Yeah, that's one I really want to see. I like Jimmy Stewart. He's good
in it, but God, what's the guy? I don't know the guy's name. Yeah, he wasn't even really in anything that big, unless it was really big in the 90s, or not the 90s, the 50s. But yeah, John Dahl was really, really good in it, because he kind of plays the main antagonist of the film, and it's great. All right, yeah, that's it for me. Sebastian.
Oh, that was it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, wait, what was your favorite out of what you watched?
Oh, and then American Honey too. But my favorite of what I watched is probably Birdman, just because of the performances and the cinematography and how everything was staged.
What did you think of the ending of that, without getting into?
Oh yeah, that was one of my main issues with it. I don't like that sequence. I think it had a much better ending earlier. I think it provides for a really great final shot. But I think if they just ended on the event itself, I think that would have been a much more satisfying conclusion.
That's fair. Yeah. It's been a while. I haven't seen it in
me too. I kind of forgot the ending.
15 or something.
All right. Well, my movies this week were very all over the place. I watched the new Amazon film, Vast of Night, which I had heard little rumblings about, so I thought I'd give it a shot, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. It's probably my favorite show of all time. I just love sci-fi, and it had that old school sci-fi vibe, and I digged it. And I think it was the director's first film, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
And I definitely see a bright future for him. I thought it was great. It's not like an exceptional like piece of cinema or anything. I just thought it was a real fun, good watch. It intrigued me a bit. It creeped me out a little bit. Had really great camera work. I thought some of the SFX were all right, but I mean, it was a really low budget, so I kind of gave it a pass on some things.
Yeah.
So,
acting, I thought the acting was really good.
Yes, dude, the acting was excellent. Like a lot of like when they were interviewing people, it was it was great. I really
real believable.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I thought it was very, very good, and definitely one of the better movies I've seen this year. And even though there hasn't been that many, it was probably, honestly, so far probably my favorite. I haven't seen anything that's really like blown me away, and I don't expect to because everything's getting delayed. But definitely a highlight of the year so far for me. I also watched American Psycho again, which is one of my favorite movies.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great film.
I mean, I don't really have much to say about American Psycho. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it once in your lifetime. It's an absolute classic.
Yeah,
it is. It's a classic, and
it's a brilliant performance.
I think it's his best performance in my opinion. But
Probably,
yeah, just Christian Bale he's just absolute amazing actor. But I really wanted to do for our commentary track. I really wanted to do American Psycho 2.
Me too. Yeah.
So
apparently there's a Donnie Darko too.
Yes, I have talked to Colin about it, and I part of me I really want to watch it, but the other part of me I don't want to watch it because I don't want to ruin my love for Donnie Darko. I don't think it would. I would just be like, this isn't canon. Whatever. I don't like this movie.
Forget.
Well, to be fair, S Darko, that's what it's called. It was not made by Richard Kelly, and Richard Kelly didn't have anything to do with it. So, I mean, technically, it is not canon at all. It was just the studio trying to get their hands on the Donnie Darko craze. So, anyway, I'm off track now. I watched Uncut Gems again for the fourth time. I think I liked it even better this time. It just gets better every time I watch it. It's I don't think I'm ever going to get bored of that movie. It's another one to the list of movies to rewatch.
I've been wanting to rewatch it too.
Dude, it was on Netflix now, and
I know.
Watching, well, it was like on my television. It was really high quality. I was really surprised. It was great. I really, really, really love that soundtrack too. It has one of my favorite soundtracks in a movie in a long time. Oh my God, dude. It's incredible. And then again, Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is just really criminally underrated when he actually gives a good performance.
Well, I want to call him, I feel like people know that. It's just the fact that he rarely does it. Like I can say like 3, right?
Yeah.
His career is probably 3.
Yeah, I really like 50 First Dates too. It's another one of my favorite Adam Sandler ones. Anyway, and then the last movie I watched this week, other than American Honey, is very out of left field. I watched Cloverfield, and
nice.
And again, one of my favorite movies. Nothing amazing, nothing spectacular, but I have a soft spot for monster movies, and I don't know, Cloverfield just does it for me. It was a very different way of approaching like a chaotic monster movie, and I appreciate it, and I think it definitely deserves a lot more recognition. I think it definitely kickstarted a lot of different genres of horror. It was
you say it deserves more recognition, but it did kind of like create its own universe around it too.
Well,
it has a really pretty big fan base.
And I'd like to see more. That's why I love it. The ARG for Cloverfield is fantastic.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
I could talk about it like for a long time. It's fascinating what they did with the story building in that movie. It's weird. And then 10 Cloverfield Lane also had a really cool ARG, and I love that movie equally as much as I do Cloverfield. When I saw 10 Cloverfield Lane, I was not expecting anything. Because it was I'm sure you guys know, but like it was just a random movie that had already been filmed, and J.J. Abrams and his production crew were like, "Hey, we're gonna turn this into a Cloverfield movie," and they're like, "Okay," and then they added that ending, and that was it.
That's actually one of the things I don't like about that movie, because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like wholly connected to Cloverfield, which I guess isn't what they were necessarily trying to do, but still, it's like,
True.
Again, I could talk about why it doesn't feel like that in a whole other thing, but like, I like the ending. It's very sci-fi. I love it.
I mean,
me
I
too.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it too. But
again,
definitely first Cloverfield, definitely one of the like better found footage films out there.
Yep, and I love 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think John Goodman's performance in that movie kind of went under the radar. He is so good in that movie. He is so good.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen like some of the parts where he is in that film, and it's pretty fucking stunning.
And
he is
Mary Elizabeth
scary.
Winstead's good in there too.
Yeah.
I think when I saw 10 Cloverfield Lane, the only thing I'd seen her in was Scott Pilgrim.
Hey, have you not watched Sky High before?
Yeah.
God. Apparently not. It's
but
been a long time.
I went and saw it because I liked Cloverfield, but I was really optimistic. But the director that directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, I don't know if you guys know this, he directed a Portal short film on YouTube. That was how he got started.
I did
I
see
think
that.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch it, but I did see that.
It was really good. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, wow, that's actually pretty cool. But anyway, that's all I watched this week. I got a little off track, but Cloverfield, near and dear to my heart, and I love it very much. So,
You ever see Cloverfield Paradox?
Yeah, it's so bad.
I could I don't want to.
Never mind. Never mind. Just forget about it. I did not.
It's bad. It's
bad. All right. So this week I watched 8 movies. So pretty good outing, I'd say. Last week I ended with 28 Days Later, so I started this week with 28 Weeks Later, which I actually enjoyed more than the first one. It remedied some problems I had with the first one, and the digital quality obviously looked better in the sequel. I also thought that the horror aspects in action were better. Have you seen this one, Noah? I know you saw the first one.
No.
Okay. I have.
You've seen it, Sebastian?
Okay, which one? I get confused with them. Is this the one that's in London, like in after the outbreak, or is this the one that's like during the outbreak?
So Cillian Murphy is in 28 Days Later. This is the one with Jeremy Renner and
yeah. That's the one in London. That's after the. That's after. Yeah, he's like a sniper.
Yeah. So this is 28 weeks after the outbreak.
Yeah.
Because they have the U.S. military come in to help rebuild, and what's his name? Robert Carlyle, the guy. Yeah.
Well, he's probably my favorite part of Train Spotting. Which is why I want to watch.
He's hilarious.
28 Weeks Later.
He's good. And so like the premise is here, like his wife is killed during the outbreak and he survived. His kids went overseas for like a camp, and they're coming back during this sectioned reopening of London, essentially, right?
Oh, okay. It's reopening.
Yeah. So the beginning had me. I like the performances. I like the tone and atmosphere. The action and horror aspects were, I think, a lot better than the first one. And then characters just started making really dumb decisions. Like typical horror movie cliches.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, that's like kind of what the case is with every horror movie.
Yeah, but I mean, these were like blatant to where it was like, no, sure. You're stupid. So the kids really start this whole thing off, and it just goes downhill from there. Like, it's definitely a well-made movie, good performances, and that score, like the score for the 28 movie is really good. I really enjoy the score and how it just umps the tension and all. But I mean, bad decisions, bad choices, and just some really stupid conveniences and inconsistencies throughout made me not like it. But I still I think I just enjoyed it more than the first one. And then after that, I watched The Vast of Night, which we already talked about a little bit. It is a pretty, it's a really good no budget movie. Performances were really good, and the atmosphere they were able to create was really good. The finale, literally, like the last 20 to 30 minutes, had me just in a constant state of goosebumps. Because it is tense and suspenseful. You're waiting for something to happen, and it's a pretty good payoff. It does pay homage to a lot of classic 50s sci-fi serials and stuff like that, which I thought was cool. So I definitely recommend it as well. Then after that, I watched the King's Speech because that was leaving Netflix.
Oh, it's leaving
first. It left, yeah, June 1st.
Oh,
Nice.
it left Netflix.
Well, I was saying leaving June 1st, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. Colin Firth and Jeffrey Rush are great in their roles there. Helena Bonham Carter is also really good. It was just a really, of course, I didn't really know much of anything about the story. And it was a pretty fascinating story, honestly. So I really enjoyed it.
I was actually watching something, and they were talking about like the story of the king, and somehow I'm already forgetting, but like just hearing that and knowing what it's based off really drew interest to it. I was thinking about watching it, but
sorry. Yeah, but it was really good. Best picture worthy and best director worthy.
That's my thing,
Yeah.
right?
No,
like
I mean,
it beat The Social Network.
Yeah.
And I think The Social Network is one of the best films of the century.
Yes, like easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that was just like typical Academy bias right there. But that's not to say it isn't a good movie, because it is a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. Then after that, I watched a little movie from the late 80s, another biopic called 8 Men Out. It was about the Black Sox scandal during the 1919 World Series. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that.
Nope.
I was familiar with that because I love baseball, but...
Wait, what was it? What?
The Black Sox scandal, 1919 World Series.
Never heard of it.
So, the Chicago White Sox... in the they were considered the best baseball team ever up to that point. Their owner, however, was, your typical greedy owner and wasn't paying them really well. So they were offered a chance to earn some money by throwing the World Series. And there was a whole betting scandal, and they ended up getting caught, and there was a whole trial. And it's a pretty crazy true story because they ended up getting acquitted. However, the baseball commission, who had just been created that year I forget for what reason, decided to ban them for life for playing professional baseball.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so the most interesting aspect of it was Shoeless Joe Jackson, who is one of the best baseball players of all time. He was illiterate. So during this whole thing, they forced him to sign contracts and stuff. And he couldn't read. So he had no idea what he was agreeing to or anything. And so that was probably like the most well-known player who got conned out of a good baseball career because he had no idea what was happening. But yeah, it was a really messy situation, and the movie wasn't bad. It was it definitely has your like typical based on real life cliche,
based on a true story sports movie.
Yeah. It has that sort of like odd Disney like whimsy to it that just feels like tonally off, you know what I mean? But I mean, the performances were decent enough. It has John Cusack, Christopher Lloyd, Charlie Sheen, Michael Cooper. Yeah, Charlie Sheen's in it.
Charlie Sheen's been in some serious movies.
This is so off topic, but what have you guys heard anything about Charlie Sheen recently? Like, where did he go? Like, where has he?
Oh.
Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I need him back.
You need him back.
You need him back.
Write him a
You
letter.
need the 2.5 Men reboot.
Yeah, I actually love that show. All right, continue, Colin.
But yeah, I mean, it was fine. Nothing special. But because I think it was just I enjoyed it for what it was because I am a baseball fan, and it is a pretty recognizable baseball story. After that, I watched another sports drama about a real life event. Remember the Titans? This was actually a movie that I never finished. There was a class I had to take in community college. It was like leadership development and communication or something. I don't know. And we watched 2/3 of this movie, and then my teacher said, "Okay," and we're like, "Wait." He was like, "This is all we need to watch," and I was like, "We're literally in the third act. Why stop?" So I never got to see it. So I decided to finish it. This is a Disney movie, funny enough, and it does have like those tonal, and it's also PG. So it's obviously a conservative, not conservative, but a reserved look at racial tension and stuff. So I mean, it's made for kids to understand without being like horrified. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Denzel Washington is obviously the best part of that movie. His performance is terrific. And it's another sports movie, so I just like stuff like that. After that, I watched this movie called Brigsby Bear. This had been something I wanted to watch for a while. I remember it coming out back in 2017, and it just didn't come to the theater I was working at the time. But I just remember thinking it looked interesting, and it definitely was interesting. It's a weird movie. If you guys ever watch it, it's best to just go in completely blind, because that's what I did. And I thought it was going one way in the first act, and then it just completely 180s. And I was like, what? It kind of like threw me for a loop. But it's a good example of awkward humor done right, because it's like a fish out of water tale in a sense, but a lot weirder. And Kyle Mooney plays the lead, and his just like awkward sense of comedic timing anyway works perfectly for this character. It's a weird movie. I mean, that's all I'm going to say, because if I say anything else, it'll just spoil stuff. Mark Hamill's in it, so.
Okay, well, I'm sold now.
Yeah, check it out. I watched it on IMDb TV. Yeah.
Is it free?
Yeah, with ads. There's a few ads, but that's it. And then after Brigsby Bear, I watched this sci-fi film called The Beyond. I found out about this movie because it has a cool poster.
Yeah, I was reading your review, and you're just like, I was scrolling through sci-fi movies, and it looked cool.
Yeah, so I this was free on YouTube, so I checked it out. It definitely gets a bad rep. I don't think it's near as bad as some people say it is. It's a low budget sci-fi movie with some really ambitious ideas and some really technical special effects that they weren't able to accomplish. The special effects are fine at some points, but then they're really bad at other points. It just has some like really interesting science fiction,
narrative?
Yeah, because it's about this like solar thing that comes over Earth one day, and it's very District 9 in its storytelling approach, because it's a documentary and about this event that happened, what led up to it, and what happened afterwards. So in that, it kind of worked in that sense. There were some narrative strings that didn't really make much sense in the documentary format, but I'd say for the majority of it, it was pretty good. Performances were pretty believable from people I don't know any of these actors or actresses. And it has some really cool ideas and themes. I would check it out just for that. It wasn't like the best made movie, but it definitely had like admirable ambition to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after that, I watched American Honey, which we will talk about in a minute. So yeah.
Noah?
Yeah. All right. So started off this week with Lorenzo's Oil, which actually finished my George Miller run. This is definitely his least well-known movie, but I'd say it's one of his best. I think it's probably my favorite aside from Fury Road. But it's a medical drama starring Nick Nolte and Susan Sarandon. And it's about their child who's diagnosed with a life-threatening disease in like the first 10 minutes of the movie. And it doesn't really unfold very unexpectedly. Like there aren't really that many things that you're like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming, Yeah. But I did find myself, I guess, surprised just by how much I ended up liking it. Especially because I thought it was going to be like one of my least favorite. I mean, obviously I don't like Happy Feet, but I like the rest of his movies pretty well. And I thought that this one might just be kind of boring and dry. But his direction is definitely very visible and present. And like Nick Nolte is making some weird acting choices, but I think they totally work. Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I saw you rated it really highly.
Yeah.
He gave honestly, the review, he did it, the crazy bastard did it.
Oh yeah, because it's just, it's one of those movies where like you're watching it and you're like, is it going to be good? And then it is good. And I don't know. I mean, I guess, whatever. I mean, that review was both about George Miller making me like the movie and about Nick Nolte's character being successful, I guess. I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much, but, you know.
Who killed Captain Alex?
Just a very interesting filmography.
Oh, yeah, he does. I mean, I feel like I've talked about most of them, honestly, except for the Mad Max movies. But, you know, I feel like most people know about those. So, okay, and then I rewatched Uncut Gems, which, I mean, not really a lot to say there. I think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. It's a really, really fucking good movie.
Yeah. I will say, I think I enjoyed it more in theaters, which I only saw it once in theaters, and then this is my only second time rewatching it, just because I think it's so overpowering and overwhelming in a way that, I mean, honestly, like a lot of A24 movies are, you know, that way in general. Although, you know, sometimes it's more like overwhelming you with grief or overwhelming you with like happiness, I guess. I don't know. But this
some
is
sort of
like,
emotion.
Overwhelming. Yeah, and this is more like anxiety specifically, Uncut Gems. But yeah, I mean, still great. Okay, then I watched Robert Altman's Three Women, which I don't think anybody else has seen. No, nobody. I mean, none of you have logged in on Letterboxd, at least.
I don't think I've seen a Robert Altman film.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Robert Altman yet.
Right,
I'm interested in The Long Goodbye.
Yeah. So the other three movies that I've watched are The Player, The Long Goodbye, which are probably maybe not his most popular movies, but certainly like among his most popular movies. And then also Brewster McCloud, which was one of his first movies, but, you know, I mean, he made like 30 movies, so I think it was unrealistic. Or like, actually, it was like his fifth or sixth movie or something like that.
55.
And I think...
But that's kind of like short films and everything.
Oh, like he started directing at 55, you mean?
No, it directed 55 films.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
but yeah,
David Lynch has directed like 75 films. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway. What was it? Okay. So I think all three of those are masterpieces and just very engrossing and aren't... Like, I feel like Robert Altman is often thrown out as one of those, like, weird stoner 70s guys, and his movies are, like, weird to watch. And I think all three of those that I mentioned certainly are, but they're definitely interesting and not, like, totally alienating in a way that, honestly, I didn't dislike Three Women, by the way, but, I mean, this is my main point, is that I feel like Three Women just feels a bit too indie and, like, oh, you know, like, what's this weird premise? Let's make it weird, I guess.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It just didn't engross me, or, you know, I just kind of got bored with it by the end. I still think it's good, and I mean, like, Shelley Duvall is great in it, and so is Sissy Spacek. Yeah, I mean, good, not as great as his other movies, I guess. Then I rewatched The Great Gatsby, which, I mean, I don't have a lot to say about. That's mostly just because Baz Luhrmann only has 5 movies, and I'm just trying to watch them all at this point.
Yeah.
I like The Great Gatsby.
Sorry, which ones have you seen?
So before this, I saw Moulin Rouge, which is, I think, his best, and then Romeo and Juliet, which is not far behind. And then The Great Gatsby, right now, I'd put at 3. And then I saw his 4th movie, which I'll talk about, like, in a second. But yeah, The Great Gatsby, good. I would say not, well, okay, not great, haha. But probably the best adaptation of that book that we could have seen. Like, I really don't know if there's a way to adapt it in a better way than Baz Luhrmann did. But I still don't think
the one with Robert Redford?
Oh, no, right. I was actually surprised to learn about that. I was like, oh, that's... And yeah, it has, like, Robert Redford and, like, a few, like, other, like, big people, so it was...
Because I've heard that's the best adaptation.
Sure.
I don't know. I like the Leo version.
Yeah. I mean, I like it just fine. I just don't think it's incredible. I don't know. Like 6, 7 out of 10. It's fine. And then I watched Along Came Polly, which is a Ben Stiller, Jennifer Aniston rom-com from 2004. Really, the only reason I watched this is because Philip Seymour Hoffman is third billed. And you know what? He does a good job with it. I mean, like, it's like an atrociously bad movie, but it's like enjoyable enough. Like, it's not... I mean, it's like a rom-com, so I feel like it's very easy to just, like, kind of turn your brain off for a rom-com, and even if you're not, like, necessarily enjoying it all the way throughout, I mean, it's very hard to, like, fully and actively hate watching it.
Sure,
even when it is, like, really bad and the jokes are, like, tacky and, you know, it's just so tropey.
Especially since it's an early 2000s rom-com.
Yeah, I guess that's more what I meant, honestly. But yeah, I mean, like, it's just fully, like, really the only thing that surprised me was Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance. Okay. No, I'll skip that. Okay. And then I watched Strictly Ballroom, which is Baz Luhrmann's debut feature, which I would say is fine, but is only really, well, I mean, like, good. I liked it. But I'd say is only really worth seeking out if you've seen a few of his other movies and have liked them. Because all of his movies are very heightened and stylized and about, like, this one's about dancing, and Moulin Rouge is about, like, singing in general, and Romeo and Juliet is sort of about theater. I mean, only in the metatextual sense. Obviously, there aren't any plays of Romeo and Juliet. But, I mean, it's a very artsy movie. It's not, like, artsy in the way that Three Women is artsy, but it's very much about a love of the arts.
Sure. So you just got to watch Australia now, right?
Yeah, which is, I think, maybe his weirdest movie. I mean, it's definitely, like, it seems like it's very different from his other movies. Like
I've seen some clips.
Really focused on the arts. Sure.
The only one I've seen of his is The Great Gatsby, which was a long time ago. But I have seen Australia, and it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
His directing style, just I could tell from those clips, is just different.
I mean, it's different. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting then, because I'd say that you can. Well, okay, yeah, you can definitely see it through all four of his movies, even Strictly Ballroom, which is it's much more grounded than the other ones, but you can see, like, very clearly that they were made by the same person, and he didn't really change his style all that much.
Well, that's kind of what I meant. I didn't mean it was different to his films, because I haven't really seen many, but he just has a different directing style in general.
Yeah. Okay. And then I watched What Women Want, which is one of the worst rom-coms I've ever seen. I mentioned with Along Came Polly, like, how hard it is to hate a rom-com. And, like, honestly, there was some stuff that I liked in this, but, like, it just really starts out, like, really bad. Like, the first 30 minutes are just, like, awful. And Mel Gibson is playing, like, a blatant misogynist who it's just really, I mean, especially because of Mel Gibson, the person, it's really just hard to, like, find anything to, like, grip onto in the first 30 minutes. And, like, it's not like it really gets better. It just gets, like, you get used to it. And, like, he does have a redemption arc, so it's not, like, awful all the way through. But, I mean, like, it's really bad. It's the last Nancy Meyers movie that I saw. I think it was her second movie. It's definitely the worst.
Gibson is just one of Hollywood's greatest gifts. He's just such a oddball, but he makes some of my favorite movies. So it's very weird.
Yeah, no, to be clear, like, I do like him in a lot of movies, and I don't really find it hard to separate the art from the artist. But, like, in a movie where the art is bad, it's not like the artist is really going to save you.
Yeah.
One thing I did hear, though, like, they had the gender swap version of this movie, Men Want, I think this past year, and I heard it was like way worse than this original. So
yeah, I mean, I think What Women Want is rated at like a 3 on Letterboxd, and I gave it a 1. Yeah, it's rated 2.7, and I gave it a 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I definitely won't like it better. Honestly, I have no interest in seeing that whatsoever.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers for that and just like dying.
I had Haddish, right? Tiffany.
Yeah.
God, I hate Tiffany Haddish.
Dude, I just hate modern comedy like that. Like that's like
modern
what
comedy.
Yeah, like oh man, last year was like the worst.
What, you didn't like a Boss?
Shut up, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Last year had so many bad comedies. We had
Tiffany Haddish in it too, right?
Yeah, Tiffany Haddish was like in all the worst comedy movies last year.
Yeah.
Like
Continue, Noah. Sorry about that.
No. That's fine. Okay. And then, so continuing a theme, I finished out the Coen brothers' filmography with Intolerable Cruelty, which is, I mean, it's like a solid 7. Like, I liked it. And it's about George Clooney plays a lawyer who meets a gold digger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and, what happens there. I would say it's on the short side, but all of the Coen brothers movies are really on the short side. It's really enjoyable, but I don't know. It's just in many ways a pretty generic movie that the Coens made good. I'm pretty sure it's one of the only movies that they didn't like develop from scratch, other than obviously the ones that they adapted, like a True Grit. and whatever. But it definitely feels, huh?
I said it has a cool title.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. I mean, it's one of my least favorite movies, but it's still of their movies, obviously. But it's still good, and I like it way better than Lady Killers and Man Who Wasn't There. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason I saw it last, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Panic Room, which I kind of had the opposite reaction to. So that's David Fincher's like fourth movie, maybe his direct follow-up to Fight Club, and it's probably his least seen movie. I mean, it definitely seems like his least popular, at least.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I haven't even heard of it, so I mean, if that says anything.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the only thing I knew about it before watching it. I mean, like I guess I like knew some people who were in it, like in the minutes before I decided to watch it. But like really, I just knew like the title is Panic Room. Oh well, it's about people in a panic room, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think this was the role that really got Kristen Stewart going.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it definitely was. But yeah, I mean, it's like a perfect thriller. Like I really don't have any complaints with it. It's definitely. I mean, I guess I don't really dislike any David Fincher movies except for Alien 3, but it's still probably in my top 5-ish. I don't know. I mean, it's just really hard to find complaints with the movies or the movie. I think some people have problems with the ending, and the ending is definitely one of the weaker points. But I mean, it's just like the Panic Room. Well, I mean, not the Panic Room specifically, but I guess like the thriller elements start like 15, 20 minutes in, and then it doesn't really let up until the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are literally like 5 minutes of like, okay, everything's been resolved. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty nonstop. I mean, like it slows down, like it handles the pacing pretty well.
Sure.
But it's very, what's the word? Economical in terms of how well the just cinematography and directing and script all blend together, and all of them are pretty minimalistic in a sense. Like it never really feels like anything is doing too much work or showing off. But yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. Okay. Trying to figure out. Yeah. Okay. And then I watched Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which I think Thomas talked about a couple of weeks ago.
That's the only Soderbergh I've seen.
Right. I mean, among all of Soderbergh's movies I've seen, I put all of them at somewhere between like an 8 to 10, except for Magic Mike, which I think is maybe a little worse, but still fine. Sex, Lies, Videotape was no exception. It's definitely a very different Soderbergh movie, but his editing and dialogue are still, I guess, much like Strictly Ballroom. Like, it's still very much there, even though it's more muted. And obviously the plot of Sex, Lies, and Videotape is, very different from his usual Ocean's 11 type thing.
I really enjoy that
feature
film,
debut,
though.
right?
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like a big, it was supposed to be like a really big revolution for indie films at the time, too.
Well, I mean, we studied it in my sound design class. Yeah, it was apparently a pretty revolutionary when it came to indie sound design in particular.
I had to do it for a script analysis. That's why I ended up watching it.
Okay. I mean, that definitely, both of those make sense. I'd say the script is pretty, I mean, like it's a very, I guess, grounded movie. I don't know. It's, again, like it's very, there's not a lot of embellishment on it, I'd say, in any sense. Like, there are only 4 real actors, aside from a couple of other people. There isn't like a ton of, like flashy dialogue or whatever, and the directing is just, pretty standard.
Well,
I mean,
one of my favorite parts about that film is like the non-diegetic sound of like how a character will talk during a scene that they're not in, to kind of like give explanation to it, and how he cuts over. And I think it's something that's one of the reasons I love Lady Bird so much too. How it'll cut a scene but still have a character talking into the next scene.
Those are very, like, those are things that carry very much into his other movies. Like, he does that a lot in a lot of his movies.
Right.
So, but yeah.
I should check out more of his movies.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's, like, more exaggerated in Sex, Lies, and Videotape, but I'd say, like, definitely in the Ocean's movies, there's a lot of, well, I mean, for the Ocean's movies, like, it makes sense, right? Like, you start, like, with the scene, like, with all of the characters, and they're, like, explaining the heist, and then it cuts to the heist actually happening while, their monologue or whatever is still going on. So yeah, I mean, good movie. And then I rewatched Groundhog Day, which is, I think, a perfect movie. probably definitely the best like magical premise rom-com and possibly the best rom-com ever made. I don't know. I just think it's like there's really nothing against
Talking
that movie.
shit on Punch Drunk Love because that's technically a rom-com.
Oh, I guess that's technically a rom-com.
Yeah.
But I mean, Groundhog Day is definitely a very traditional rom-com, and also in the sense that it definitely emphasizes comedy as well, whereas Punch Drunk Love, I would say more
it's a very
romance.
warped idea of the genre.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's just like a pretty straight up, like I don't know. I think it's a masterpiece. I think, I mean, none of you have rewatched it recently, right?
No, I do not have it logged.
It's been forever.
But
yeah, exactly.
I do
I mean,
like the film from my memory.
Yeah, I think all of you would probably end up rating it like a little bit less than me, but I don't know. I just think it's perfect. Okay, and then I watched American Honey, which we'll get into. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which, I mean, I liked. It's fine. I don't know, 6, 7 out of 10. Nothing really interesting going on there. And then A Ghost Story, which is David Lowery's.
Love that film.
Yeah, I love it too.
So after I watched that, I like the only song I listened to for like the next 2 weeks was "I Get Overwhelmed." I think that song is used amazingly, like in that film, and I think the song in general, it's just a fucking great song.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, the main thing about that movie, just that I want to elaborate on, I guess, is it's definitely a very slow movie.
Yeah.
But like I found myself like paying attention to most of the movie, which is very weird for me. Like normally if I feel a movie is slow, I just kind of like drift off after a couple of minutes or like, after the first act or something. But I mean, like I was pretty enraptured for all of that movie. I think it's pretty close to a masterpiece, and on rewatch, like, I don't know, it might go up, it might go down, who knows?
I honestly agree to a sense where I think it's like almost a masterpiece, but I don't rate it like a perfect 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. I think it has issues, but the way that he's able to capture like the emotion of Casey Affleck in a literal like in a bed sheet with eye holes, or not even eye holes, like the way he's able to capture emotion without being able to see the character. It's so good.
Which I don't know if you read anything about this, but apparently like when they started filming it, they were just doing like an eye sheet with, I mean, I guess I don't know, like maybe like construction paper underneath or something. I guess I don't really know what was going on there. But they found that like anytime Casey Affleck was like trying to stand still, like just like anything he did, like you could just see it on the sheet. So they eventually like started weighing it down a lot so that like when he was standing still, it was actually like more still instead of it just looking like, because like when you're standing still, I mean, and this is something that they said, I don't know, just like the sheet ended up moving around a lot. So they ended up putting like a bunch of stuff under the sheet. And I mean, I guess that's it, honestly. But
great film, though.
Yeah. Oh, right. The thing that you're talking kind of reminded me of, I find it very, I guess, close to a David Lynch movie. I know Lynchian is something that we talk about a lot and a lot of people talk about a lot. But it is primarily style over substance. Well, but that's not, I guess I more mean like it's more metaphorical over literal, and like who knows how much of it is metaphorical and how much of it is literal. And I think that David Lowery has a very clear idea of what's going on in the movie and exactly how much of it is literal, which is similar to a lot of David Lynch movies. And I don't think either of them are ever going to really like reveal it in interviews.
Yeah,
for sure.
What do you think of the pie scene? We actually watched that in one of my film classes.
Really?
I mean, I think. Did you just watch the scene? Like on?
I've seen the whole movie.
But for the class, you just watched the scene.
What in specific was that trying to capture?
I can't remember what class it was, but I think it was talking about how to use like using a still shot, but using everything within the shot because the first time, like when I was watching in class, I completely missed when the ghost appears. And then my teacher was like, you guys probably missed this, and he rewinded it. And then we were all like, oh yeah, shoot. And I'd seen the movie, So it does a good job of like setting the scene and everything in the foreground you're paying attention to, and you don't even realize things happening in the background, which I think
it's a really good composition.
Yeah, that was what I was looking for, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess I liked it, which was your original question, but I think it definitely works much better in the movie than it
In context,
does
yeah.
on its own. Yeah, because like you already are
yeah.
used to a lot of just like static shots.
Mhm.
All right.
I guess you can say. I guess bad joke. I was gonna say. I guess you can see that she gets overwhelmed. But
Okay. Good job, Thomas.
But Rooney Mara is amazing in that film too.
Yeah.
I mean,
great.
both of the leading performances are pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you get a lot more of Rooney Mara, and like
Yeah.
ironically, like the thing that Rooney Mara is best in that movie is like all of the micro expressions, which I feel like is especially exaggerated in the pie scene. Like you can just kind of feel her going through like so many different things. I mean, like especially like when she goes to throw up, that's a great moment. And then Casey Affleck is kind of the opposite in many ways because you can't see his face for most of the movie. Okay. And then, gonna wrap this up really quickly. I watched War Horse, which is a Spielberg movie. It's not bad, really. It's just really boring. It's like a very, War Horse. It's about a horse who goes to war and the people who interact with the horse. Okay, great. It's 2.5 hours long. It's exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah.
And I watched Good Time, which I like slightly less than Uncut Gems. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I mean, great movie. Pretty much the same vibes, except less exaggerated. Obviously, Uncut Gems is a lot more heightened, and there's a lot more going on at all times. So yeah, good. And then Bridge of Spies, I rewatched, which is Spielberg's one of his most recent movies, 2015. I mean, yeah, good movie. I think it's probably top 6-ish Spielberg for me, somewhere around there.
And written by the Coen brothers.
Oh.
Yeah. Actually, although I think the main thing about that was they just did a lot of punch up for the script.
Yeah, I think,
Because I think like the first, and not even just the first, like I think a lot of the drafts were by one guy. And I don't know if you really had any experience before, but I think the Coen brothers thing was mostly like once Spielberg wanted to direct it, he was like, hey, I could use like a little bit of help here. But I don't think they really rewrote the script in any significant way. I just think
just
they
spruced it up. Yeah.
And made the dialogue punchier. Yeah, stuff like that. And that was it. Obviously, I skipped over American Honey because we're going to talk about that. But,
which we'll get to in just a minute.
A lot of films this week for Noah.
A lot of how many was that, by the way?
I think it was 19, including American Honey, and I skipped Toy Story 3 and Frozen 2. Which,
that's a lot of movies, man.
Yeah. So this was obviously my pick, right? And I picked American Honey because it was a film that really blew me away on the first watch. And I think it was too soon to rewatch it as well. And I was always just a fan of A24 and slice of life cinema. And so the first time I watched it just blew me away by like how stunning the shots were. And I thought the performances were like perfect and it just really like captured that emotion I was looking for. But I found that this time around it was a lot less, whereas the substance just wasn't nearly there, where I still found it just absolutely beautiful. It was breathtaking, like stunning. And I mean, still one of the best parts of it is that final shot, which I feel like all of us can agree on that part at the very least. Pretty great.
I mean,
cinematography wise, yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't really care for the ending.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think the ending is fantastic. I love the ending the first time around. It was one of those parts that something about a film is like if it can make my like jaw drop and I'm just like it's an out of body experience. That's when I really love something. And the first time around for that was just American Honey. After the first 30 minutes where it set everything up, it was just that out of body experience. But this time around, I wasn't able to get that. It wasn't able to grasp me.
You said may have been too soon to rewatch. When did you watch this for the first time?
It would have been I talked about it the first week of the Post Pro podcast, so it would have been 2 months ago.
All right, yeah.
So I guess I kind of have a similar opinion to Thomas. This was my first time watching it, except I guess my expectations weren't necessarily as high because, it was my first time. And I would say, like, I really found myself enjoying it. And, like, it's a great coming-of-age story. But yeah, I mean, I guess I never really had an out-of-body experience, but I wasn't really expecting to either. So I think I liked it on this viewing more than Thomas's second viewing, but less than his first viewing.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, Shia's performance is still fantastic.
All the performances are really good, I think.
Yes.
Because I apparently like most of these people were just kind of like people. They weren't established actors.
That makes sense.
Or anything. Yeah.
I mean, other than
besides the main three.
Well, obviously, Riley Cobb.
But I think even Sasha Lane, who's
it was her first. It was like a breakout performance, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if it was exactly the same like casting process as the other ones, but she definitely wasn't like someone like Shia or Riley Keough, who
obviously, I mean, I saw an interview with her. They said she was at the beach on spring break, and this woman came up to her and said, "Hey, you want to be in a movie?" And she was like, "Sure, I got nothing to lose."
Yeah.
So Sasha or Riley?
Sasha.
Yeah, that makes more sense in that context.
Did I say
no, well, they were talking about Riley Cup. That was the most recent actor we were talking about. That makes sense for Sasha. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Like all the performances were very naturalistic and just, they just felt.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole movie felt organic.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it.
Very easygoing, very natural. It all just kind of, the group dynamic especially felt just really real.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoyed about the movie, how real it felt. And honestly, so this is the first time I saw it, and for a nearly 3 hour movie, I was impressed by how well it was, and it never felt overly long, although it did get repetitive for me at times.
That was one of the other things that really came around.
I'd agree with that a bit, but I mean, like I'd say, like, I don't know, that's kind of the main thing. Like, it feels overly long and repetitive, which I don't mean as a compliment. I just mean like, I mean, if it's repetitive, then that's because it's overly long.
And it's obviously going for a little bit of a cyclical structure anyway, because it puts you in the headspace of the main character and the characters around her and what they're doing with their lives and stuff. But at the same time, there was like, I don't remember what point, but it was at one point where they're in the van, they're listening to aggressive rap music. I'm like, okay, how much more do we have of this?
Yeah, that's very.
And they keep replaying the same songs too. It's like they only got the rights for like 3 songs.
I feel like that does happen every once in a while. I do enjoy the use of music in the film. I think it very much ties into the characters, and I think
it definitely works for what they're going for.
Yeah. Sebastian, you have anything else to add?
I thought it was quite boring. I had saw it before. I thought it was like really good the first time I saw it, and I thought, kind of same. I didn't think it was like a masterpiece or anything. I just thought it was a really solid movie the first time I saw it, and then I rewatched it, and I was just bored. Like I kind of already knew the plot and where it was going. That could have been a reason why I didn't like it the second time, but I thought it was very long, like a little overly long, like literally like I felt like a whole bunch of sections of the movie could have been cut out and would have conveyed the same point it was trying to convey by the ending. I thought, again, performances are great. I thought everything felt very natural. I felt like, I was really watching real life people, because technically I was, but like, I felt like I was really in the shoes of these people selling magazines. And, I liked it. I thought it was good. Shia, always, I think Shia is great. I think he's a great actor. I do prefer Honey Boy to this movie after rewatching it. Nothing really, I wouldn't call it a bad movie. I don't know. Like, I know you guys like the cinematography, but yes, there was a lot of really nice cinematography shots, in my opinion. But like, there was some really weird hand cam like parts.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like,
that did happen.
I was like, why? I don't know. It just took me out of it a little bit, because I was really in awe of like a lot of the camera work, and then like just there was like really weird like hand cam shots. It's like what was that? I don't know. It took me out of it.
I think I didn't mind it as much as you did, because I feel like it was trying to make it feel as naturalistic too.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it at all,
but
it did feel kind of like it was observing, like kind of just floating characters in like a omniscient point of view or something.
Dude, I was trying to see Shia's cock, man, and like that the hand cam footage there really took me out of it.
You saw blonde guys a couple times.
Yeah, no, but like I actually almost I thought that I don't know, was that
Sebastian? If you're trying to see Shia's cock, may I have a series or a volume of 2 films for you?
Oh yeah, Nymphomaniac.
Yeah, Nymphomaniac.
No, but like, was that sex scene real? Because that, like, in all honesty, that was like one of the most realistic like sex scenes I've seen.
It's a very raw film.
I actually looked it up. I couldn't find anything.
Because it looked like It looked real. I'm just gonna say it. I mean,
No, they were very convincing.
Yeah, at the very least.
Yeah.
but no, solid film. Very well directed, very well shot. Acting was great. I don't know. I was just kind of bored, and I thought that again, it was pretty repetitive in its nature, but. Not a bad movie. Definitely seen better. But out of the A24 movies, seeing it again, it definitely shot down on my list.
Yeah,
Sure.
it was shot way down on my list. It was literally my number one, and it kind of plummeted. But I definitely don't think it's a bad movie. Once again, I just think A24 is an amazing studio.
Definitely a well-made movie, like really good performances all around from nobodies essentially, and I liked the way it used music. I liked the atmosphere it made, and cinematography I really enjoyed. I liked the realness of the movie, where like besides the repetitiveness, which I kind of gave some slack because it's obviously going for some sort of repetitive structure. I think the biggest things for me about this movie I didn't necessarily like was number one was the ending, which I felt was purposefully anticlimactic, yet was still disappointing for me. I was expecting after 2.5 hours of lead up for there to be some sort of like emotional impact, and when it ended, I was just like, I saw what they were going for, but it just didn't work for me on an emotional sense.
Yeah, I can understand that. I like the idea of like watching her character evolve, especially going back to the new children and her trying to like parent them. Yeah, trying to like right her wrongs in a sense too.
That was the thing I really liked. I liked her, like Noah mentioned, it is a coming of age slice of life, and you get to see the main character evolve, because at the beginning she's not very likable. Even though her situation is not good at all, to say the least. But I was like, I don't really like this girl. And but it does a good job of offering a perspective to people who are in situations like hers and humanizing it and showing the good and bad of both, So I think the movie has a lot to say on social class and like how sort of the system, if you will, can manipulate certain things to be against one another, or even like the same to be against one another. Like, for example, I like how one of the like points of Shia LaBeouf's character is he lies in order to try and get people to buy the magazines. And for the first few times you see them going on their selling trips, it's in very affluent suburban neighborhoods. And then the last one, Riley Cuff takes them to a very poor, impoverished neighborhood, but their goal is exactly the same. And I thought, okay, that's pretty interesting. That's not just a commentary on the wealthy, but it's a commentary on like how even the poor can try and take advantage of the poor.
It really does say something about society.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was a really good job of examining that. Another thing I didn't like though, as much as I liked the journey of the main character, and I liked the group dynamic they had of all the characters, especially the relationship between Star and Jake, and then Jake and Crystal, I felt like all the other supporting characters were just kind of there in the background. Like, there's one thing I noticed at the end when I was thinking about this. Star never really has an intimate like scene with really anyone else.
Yeah, that would have actually been a really nice inclusion.
Yeah,
like to build understanding.
Right, there are a couple like conversations she has in the van, like the one girl who likes Star Wars, or the guy with the flying squirrel or whatever. Other than that, you don't really get a lot from those characters directly through our protagonist, which I would have added a lot of depth to what
she kisses the guy with the penis.
Yeah, just stop the fight though.
I think that could also be
Jake jealous.
In a sense, commentary towards the ending where she becomes like less of a forefront, where she kind of becomes background with like the new girl coming in, and like how Jake like kind of employs people into the whole ordeal too, where she becomes background, and that's where the ending also shows, right? Maybe I'm actually just thinking about this on the fly. Maybe the ending where she dunks into the water is seen as like a baptism of self, where it's like you're freed and now you're just in this world kind of a sense.
I was going to say basically the same thing. Like, I definitely understand all of your complaints, and I've definitely had them with other movies. And I think it might even make the movie stronger if they did go some of the direction that you're saying. Mm-hmm. But I think the main storyline of the movie, which maybe you don't realize right away, but is that Sasha Lane is attracted to, not necessarily just romantically, but at least partially romantically, attracted to Shia LaBeouf's character. And so that's why she doesn't really give much of the other people time of day. Even like Riley Keough, she kind of ignores until she realizes like she has to pay attention to her.
Right,
she's her boss.
Right. And I obviously got that too, because that his Shia LaBeouf's character is the catalyst essentially to her going on that journey with him, abandoning all she had before, you know?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I liked. But hey, honestly, all of the complaints that both you, Colin, and Sebastian, and even Thomas are saying are making me more confident that you'll like 20th century women. So,
we all still need to watch that. Maybe that's one I'll watch this week, but I say that way too often.
It's on Netflix, so
yeah. All right.
But I mean, overall, I definitely didn't think it was a bad movie.
No, it wasn't.
Think there could have been more. You know, I think the main thing at the end of the movie, I just didn't really feel anything. You know what I mean?
Me too.
See, that's how I was this time around, but the first time it just, like I said, it was just jaw-dropping, right?
It reminded me of Silver Lake in terms of like what I felt like at the end of both movies. I just was just like, oh, that's it. Like, they didn't really come out of the movie like gaining anything or feeling anything with both films. It both kind of had the same like kind of vibe for me personally. Because Silver Lake, I was bored. I was completely bored with. This movie, I was also pretty bored with. And they both kind of had a very just ending. It's just like, oh, that's it. And you just kind of build up all the way to that. They almost had like the same lead up for me personally. That's why I don't really like, again, both of them are not bad movies, but they both to me felt almost kind of like the same like type of movie because they both had that same vibe. So I don't know. I just don't like those types of movies personally, but they were very well.
They're definitely not for everyone, you know.
Yeah.
So, one thing I remember writing this down because I thought it was interesting. It was never brought up again in the movie. It's the scene after the truck driver drops her off, I believe.
Yeah.
She's walking through a field and she steps in blood and she freaks out. And then it just cuts her back in the van. Like, was that a dead body or?
Oh, it's fair. It's actually, that's strange. I do love that truck driver scene though. I love like what he represents for the film. Like the idealism of how the American dream kind of.
And it played like, stereotypes too.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
Because every time she met up with an older guy, I was like, oh, they're going to go the predator route, you know, or the harassment route. But they didn't, you know. And I guess like the last guy who paid her is in that route.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely, but that's like literally like the last guy. Yeah. Like with
right.
Cowboy guys or whatever and the truck driver. I expected it in both cases. And then, so by the time that the oil thing happens, it's just kind of like, oh, it's probably not gonna, but then it does.
Yeah. But I liked how it played against certain stereotypes, but also kind of commented on other ones.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting film. Oh, yeah. And I'm glad that I rewatched it. Maybe, like I said, it was a little too soon. Maybe it was too present in my mind. I feel like that's part of the reason I didn't like it nearly as much. Yeah. But
it definitely has a lot to say.
Yeah. It's a great, I still think it's great. I definitely think the issues were more present, but I still really enjoy it at the very least.
And that's why it's good to revisit movies.
Yeah. All right, Colin. I believe it's your pick for a film. Have you thought of one?
I have. So I decided to, for this week, dip our toes in, post-pro podcast-wise, to some international cinema. So I think this should be the first...
it's going to be the first foreign film.
So it is a Korean supernatural horror film called The Wailing.
Huh.
I don't think any of you guys have seen it.
I have never even heard of it.
It came out back in 2016. I saw it once around that time, and I was blown away. It's one of the few movies that really scared the crap out of me.
Wow.
So
in South Korean, I'm assuming?
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
The Wailing?
It's called The Wailing. Yeah.
I'm aboard. I'm aboard.
I spelled it the Wailing, like the animal, the whale, but actually it's the WAL.
Yeah, like screaming. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense.
It's currently free on Tubi, so all you just create an account there. Which, by the way, shout out to Tubi because I just went through their catalog and they have some really like good selections there. I'm gonna be watching a lot of their stuff soon.
Sponsor us, Tubi.
Yeah, sponsor us, Tubi. Tubi, Quibi.
I'll stick to the piratesbay.org. Shout out to the Pirates Bay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're gonna get caught. It's coming, dude.
I know.
Right.
But yeah, so I really hope you guys enjoy it. I think we'll have
I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I'm excited to revisit it because it's been 4 years, I think. 3 or 4 years.
Cool. All right.
Sweet.
Excited.
All right, so I guess that wraps up episode 9 of the Post Pro podcast. Wow. We will see you guys next week when we talk about The Wailing. All right.